Have you ever looked at a map of Europe and wondered why it's such a patchwork of languages, cultures, and traditions, even within a single country? You might think of France, Germany, or Spain as unified nations, but the real story, the one that shapes everyday life and politics, is often happening at a level just below the surface, the region. This isn't just about administrative divisions. It's a deep-seated mindset that explains so much about the continent. So why does Europe think in regions? The answer is buried deep in history. For centuries, before the modern nations we know today even existed, Europe was a mosaic of kingdoms, duchies, city-states, and principalities. Think of the Hanseatic League in the north, the powerful city-states of Italy like Venice and Florence, or the various kingdoms that would eventually become Spain. These were the original power centers. For the average person living in the 15th century, their identity wasn't German, it was Bavarian or Saxon or Swabian. Their loyalty was to their local duke or prince, not some far-off emperor or a national concept that hadn't been invented yet. These regional identities were incredibly strong. They had their own laws, their own dialects, their own economies, and their own distinct cultures. When larger nations started to form, often through conquest or political marriages, they didn't just erase these ancient identities. Instead, they had to incorporate them. The new nation-states were often a fragile compromise, a federation of powerful regions that agreed to unite under one crown or government, but always with the unspoken understanding that they would retain a significant degree of autonomy. Take Germany, for example. It only became a unified nation in 1871. Before that, it was a collection of independent states like Prussia, Bavaria, and Saxony. When Germany was unified, these states, or Länder as they're called, kept a huge amount of power. Today, the German federal government in Berlin handles things like defense and foreign policy, but the Länder are responsible for education, police, and cultural affairs. That's why the school system can be different in Bavaria than it is in Hamburg. It's a direct legacy of that pre-unification history. Bavarians, with their unique dialect, traditions like Oktoberfest, and distinct political leanings, often see themselves as Bavarians first and Germans second. The same story plays out across the continent. In Spain, the unification under Ferdinand and Isabella in the 15th century brought together different kingdoms like Castile and Aragon. But regions like Catalonia and the Basque Country have always maintained their own languages and fiercely guarded their cultural distinctiveness. This historical tension is still a major force in Spanish politics today, with strong movements for regional autonomy and, in some cases, independence. It's not about rejecting Spain entirely, but about affirming a regional identity that they feel predates the modern Spanish state. Even in a country as famously centralized as France, regionalism is making a comeback. For centuries, Paris dominated French culture and politics, actively suppressing regional languages like Breton and Occitan. But in recent decades, there's been a powerful resurgence of interest in these local cultures. People are reviving old languages, celebrating regional festivals, and demanding more local control. They're rediscovering that being from Provence, or Alsace, or Brittany is a core part of their identity. This regional mindset is so fundamental to Europe that it is baked into the very structure of the European Union. The EU has a body called the Committee of the Regions, which gives local and regional governments a direct voice in EU lawmaking. The EU also invests heavily in regional development funds, aiming to reduce economic disparities not just between countries, but between regions within those countries. They understand that a strong Europe is built on strong, prosperous regions. The motto "United in Diversity" isn't just a nice slogan. It's a political reality that recognizes these deep-rooted identities. This focus on the region has some incredible benefits. It fosters a rich cultural tapestry. You can travel just a few hundred kilometers in Italy and feel like you're in a different country, moving from the German-influenced South Tyrol to the world of Venetian canals, each with its own cuisine, architecture, and dialect. This diversity is a huge driver of tourism and makes Europe an endlessly fascinating place to explore. It also allows for political and economic experimentation. A region can try out a new policy on a smaller scale before it's adopted nationally. The Basque Country in Spain, for example, has developed a hugely successful model of worker-owned cooperatives that is studied around the world. This kind of innovation is much easier when power isn't all concentrated in the national capital. It makes governance more responsive to local needs. The people of a specific region know best what their local economy needs, what their schools should teach, and how to preserve their unique environment. Regional autonomy allows them to tailor solutions to their specific problems. But of course, it's not without its challenges. This strong regional identity can sometimes spill over into separatism, creating political instability. We see this in Catalonia in Scotland and in Flanders in Belgium. Finding the right balance between regional autonomy and national unity is a constant struggle for many European countries. It can also create economic inequalities. A wealthy region like Bavaria or Lombardy in Italy might be reluctant to share its wealth with poorer regions in the same country, leading to internal tensions. So, when we talk about Europe, it's crucial to look beyond the national borders on the map. The real Europe is a multi-layered continent of identities. A person can be a Milanese, an Italian, and a European all at the same time, and none of these identities cancels out the others. This intricate web of local, regional, and national loyalties is what makes European politics so complex, but also so dynamic. It's a constant negotiation of power, a balancing act between the center and the periphery. Understanding this regional mindset is the key to understanding Europe itself. It explains why a farmer in Sicily might feel a stronger connection to their local community than to the government in Rome. It explains why Belgians can have a functioning country without a national government for months on end, because the regional governments of Flanders, Wallonia, and Brussels keep things running. The nation-state is important, but it's just one layer of identity in a much older and more complex European story. The real power, the real culture, and the real identity often lie closer to home in the regions that have shaped the continent for 1,000 years. Thanks for watching. If you found this look into Europe's regional identity interesting, please give this video a like and subscribe for more deep dives into the cultures and histories that shape our world. See you next time.